It's Monday, the 18th of August 2003. My name is Pat Christie, and I'm going to interview Andy Mann, Peter Mann, and they're both fae Hera mid Yell, but they were both born and brought up in Aishnes. I'm going to be accompanied by Sandy Clark, who also lives in Yell, but was brought up in Firth at Mossbank. This is for the Herd group. Okay, Andy, can you tell me when you were born?
1912.
And whereabouts in Aishnes was that?
At Avinskert.
Avinskert. Peter is your half-brother.
Yes, my brother is my half-brother. And my father was Jimmy Mann.
Were you the only one in the second
That's
family?
right. My mother's name was Mann as well, you see. And Andy's mother's name was Johnson from Lochine.
And you were brought up in the same place until you were
That's
six?
right, yes.
Yeah?
I was 6 years when I went to the school. And the school was a good bit to walk. Well, there was a mile to Avinskert, for a mile. Winter weather wasn't very good. We made the best of it. That was the way.
And how many bairns was at the school at that time, would you say?
It would have been about 40 at one time. But I'll tell you one thing was, they were in it was Jimmyson's. They left Aishnes and get to North Road. So it came to be letters with the vineyard. But it still was quite a lot. But time went on and it gradually got back. Yeah, that's how it worked. Yeah.
So would you say that there were a lot of families living in Aishnes at that time?
Well, that's difficult to say. I was one of the first to leave it. But they were in way back for a long distance. There were a man fishing for Stennis. And he left, and I think he went to New Zealand. That was way early on, maybe in the middle of the 1800s.
What did you write on, and what kind of lessons did you?
They were all slits, they were the pretty slits, and they were all kind of gear.
Were they just the one teacher in the school?
They were old Mackie and Eddie. Old Mackie was an old tyrant.
Yeah.
But as the men she hates ups and downs, they got rid of her, I think. And they were another under teacher that came and stayed up with us, stayed up with Chitty and Washer, police school. They were an under teacher, Babsy Morrison. That eventually went up with Tommy Anderson.
And what about firing or that in the school? How was it hated?
They would shoot a pretty old stove, and things was not very brilliant. When you come there in the morning, after this poor weather, when it was so pathetic weather, you were nearly waiting soccer. When the bairns was coming for a long distance, they were in coming for Hamnavo, and then they were in for Brave and Tanu. But the worst things was the ones that come for North Aishnes, but the ones that come for Stennis. That was the longest distance of the off, ups and downs at that time. They should make the best of it. When it came to the winter time, then we had a cup of cocoa and about a break till we got home at night. But that was a shorter day then, you see. It wasn't so long.
It wasn't like 9 to 4 or anything?
No. I'm about there for the darkness.
Yeah, and you would all just walk it?
Walking all the way. It was a mile to go. And when I was in this summertime, then I got home and told me about the dinner for the school. And it took me a quarter of an hour. Now I was going past it. I was running there. And my stepmother always had me about the dinner ready when I come home. And I had me about the dinner. By the time I was back again, we was 5 minutes to go on any. So we had never much time to spend others about the teaching.
You would have to work on the craft, would you?
I mind about the craft. When I was a boy, I got up in the morning, as a rule. I was always up early. I would get me washed and done, and then I would go and I would spend the hairstyle. Then I would go to and make bonds for putting in the corn, and then I would go in and then we put the breakfast and off to the school. No, there was no hesitation in me not to go.
So you would have to do work before you actually get to the school in the morning?
If it was a morning, it's good time to be done. No, that was the way it was. Just had to see what. There were an awful lot of changes to know. I mean, the post office and the mails come with Timmy Anderson, Double Timmy. We used to call him that. That's not the really way. He fetched the males for the all very red and brought them in the house and then brought them into Ashmas. And they were near red disease to come down. But he came with his gig and come in over the point head, down and come in over the beach.
And that would be with a horse and cat?
A horse, big horse. And he had that for quite a time. And then I mind when he got the first car, Model T car. Oh yeah, I mind about it. But that was a bit of a change, you know. But later on then they eventually got the right putting down to the post office. And I mind when the first car that came down to the post office, that was gone, so he came down to the post office. And then he was like everything else. He didn't drum. And that was when he didn't drum, then they phoned Larrow. And there was someone who come for Larrow with another car and took him away. I mind the time we come and having a look, Tony Tulloch and Artie Irving. That was the two that was at the shop of house we get that.
Yeah.
Oh, I mind all about them. No, they were all right, man.
What about firing for the house?
Oh, the pits. We had an ox and a car, and we would go to the far hill, and when the weather was summertime, the weather was all right, and we would go and we had banks out in the hill, and then we would cart our pits home, pick them in the stock and go home at the house. Only kind of fire in first of then. That was all open fires to see. There were no stoves, or nothing then.
So you would be like Sandy here in Mind Bacon Barracks on the Brand Island,
mind about all that kinds of bits and pieces. Interest getting fish, and we always had plenty of fish around.
What did you do when you left the school then? Did you go to the fashion?
No.
No?
I didn't go to, not when I was 14. I was maybe about 15 some way after I left the school. I had somebody mention that there was somebody been up at the Ashnos Light that was working there, and he was done badly indeed to be put in suit for some operation. So I was hard about that. So I think so I did it. I said to our Frank, I said, get in my bike and I'm going to the Ashnos to see if there's taking anybody in that man's place. Mm-hmm. So I went up there, and there were Lodi Jimson and Kirsty Whiteside was both there, and they were Douglas. He was a suit man. I said to Kirsty and Lodi, I said, I'm going to see this man, I said, if they're taking any events on. So I went and did along and said to this man, I said, well, did any chance of getting a job with you? Oh yes, he said, you need a job. He said, you do a right job, what are you standing? I said, I wasn't sure prepared for the job that I'm standing on at the moment. I said, for I'm brought no food. Oh, he says, well, I have to get food. So I said to Christy, oh, they said, we have plenty of food. They'll not be short of food. Hey, food we wish. So I get back out to this man again, and I said, oh, I says, I'm all right for food for the day. So I says, I'm where I am. Oh, and he said, that's all right. So I had food with Christy, and I back the next morning and had me grub with me.
What kind of a job were you doing then?
They were starting to put on the Ashnos lighters to see they were bigging them up. Their lamps up at the top was all had to be put in. So I was on their job, taking up the stuff and seeing them. And you see, I come to the knowledge and I can't at the back of me hand. I could fairly understand it. So that was all the see. So I did all right, but before that, Andrew Manson from Merton. He had a horse and a cart, and he got to do something to bring stuff up the room. I was down there for a pretty bit where he was going to do the job. I got well on with Andrew Manson. Oh, yeah, splendid. I never had nothing to look back. No, I got well on. When I got older, I got a job in one of the haddock boats, and I got a job with the captain mate. They were good. I went off with them, and I never had to look back with a few bad days, but as the man says, the bad days, we accounted them for fresh baddies, but we got a good lot of fish. We always got fish.
Where was that boat based at then?
She was at Tannock. She was at the heart of the hook. Then the other boat that my father, when that was in Petty and different things, was across at the other side there, at Borderwick. I think you'll find maybe one or two old boats then, maybe standing around there, you're quite sure they would.
Can you describe the work at the haddock lines then?
There were a lot of hard work there. We had to go to Runnies so and get some mussels for there, for the lines.
Better.
Yeah, we'd, several times we would go to the head of Runnies so you'd the pier, took a boat, and get across the Runnies Hill. That was a good place for mussels. Then you would get bags of mussels, take them back to Hellier, and then the Sandersons was on the go. Down at Hellier, they were there, but and then the Robbie Lightning, he was on the go. And we would get the bags of mussels, putting in some of that carts that they had, and they would take them to Hastings, and then we would put them into the down at the Sound, down at the Point Head, and we would put them there so that we could cover them the seas. And then we got them as we needed them. They always come and got them for there.
What did you bait the lines at then?
We baited the Davinscott. I baited mine at Davins, but the Edens, the seas, they were Krusty Watchet and Lowry Simpson. They had to come down to the beach at Davinscott and get their mussels. And then they had to take them up to Stow. And then when the time came that we were going off in the early morning, then I took my line and get up the Cap in and met in with them there, and then we sat and walked from there to Danuk, and then had to take the boat down, get all the gear aboard and go to the fishing. It was a long journey.
What size was your boat?
So 16 feet a keel. There was nothing but the sail up there if we were lucky. That was nearly just a round all the way. And when we got there, Hulswick, we were going with the weather was sometimes not very good, and there were two men that tried to keep the boat from coming on the beach. I didn't stop the fish. And then two would wait with the boat, and the other fowl would carry the fish for once, and they might do it for once. Then they would have to carry that to the Hulswick, down below the shop, and have it wait there. They would take it all the way back here. It was a long day.
What they done with the fish when they weighed them?
They put it into the store, and then the steamer came and took it away. Hulswick.
Right.
The steamer was coming to Hulswick then.
Did they sat them down?
No, they freezed it down. You see, when the winter was, the men had to do with the fishing. They good when the frost was. And they took all them and put it in the ice house. They had the ice and reserve all the time. So when the steamer came, they had ice and put it onto the steamer and hit the house. Oh, everything was synced up.
And what about your lines, and how did you keep them? Did you have a lot of work with that?
We had all kinds of haddock lines, good new haddock lines, and we had turbot lines. Then when the ford was, we caught the ford, they tried the turbot lines, and they were very lucky. But there were a lot of fish around. We had some good turbot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we had insect. Well, there were 100 weight, big fish.
Yeah.
Some smaller fish, maybe like a half 100 weight. They were fine, very good fish, you know. Yeah, we never like that.
And speaking about luck, were there any superstitions around? Was the old men superstitious? Or?
Well,
yeah.
They never committed themselves. As the man says, you were very wary at things that they didn't speak about. There was fish was around. They were very liable to get ones. So that had to up for the best. My mind was one time obviously that we get off in the early morning after Sunday. We get off and the weather was not too good looking, and we sailed down for the mud. We were going to fish off over the heights down to the West Runnies. And we set two more lines. We come a bad looking. We pulled them back again, and we got put in a single reef. But after that it was uncontrollable. We couldn't put in to do anything. So we had to keep at what we had. We had a rough truck getting back there Runnies. Oh,
yeah.
Very, very rough. The roughest ever you could see. The skipper, he right out to the stern and boat into the middle, went back home. He was back in again. And I was the young fellow. I was the one that was standing by well under water. No trouble to me. I could do anything there. I got well on with him. Oh, I never had one out of place with any of them. No. They were all good to me. So that. And
what was the circumstances around you moving then for Aishness?
The thing was that Our father died, I mean, and my stepmother said that we give up the craft and said after the thing, that they were dirty white, I mind about them, And I mind one time that we were back of the horse and we saw this two folk coming in, foot daytime, coming in for the south deck. So I looked at it and I said to my stepmother, I says, that's dirty white. So he arrived at the house. So we knocked at the door and he said, come down, follow the house. I says, you can place yourself. I says, you can place yourself to value it or not value it. But I says, the thing is at all cut and dry for you. For I says, I'm in to the commissioners. And I says, I've been in contact with them. And I says, they're coming along in the near future. And I says, they're the people that's going to value the whole thing. What your value will be useless. That was me with them. Yeah.
Is dat dirty white for Buster?
Dirty white for Buster,
Yeah.
That old lad. That old lad. Yeah, I mind about them, but what? When you do good with that sort of people, keep them at the distance and they do right.
Yeah. What age were you then, when you were gearing up the craft?
Oh, I'd been 18.
And you were just a young boy, Peter? You were just
Yeah,
a wee boy?
I was six. Well, it was been, I think, about a year at the school in Aishness, yeah.
Do you have much recollection of Aishness at all?
Well, I can mind quite a lot about Aishness, I mean, as a boy. One thing I do remember was the April blizzard. I think that was in 1927, I think.
Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
I mind my mother holding me up at the window and we could see all the youngsters calling and hay going with the wind. And as I said, there were lots of things that I minded when Andy and my father used to bet the lines at winter nights. And that's the sort of things that lie most in my mind.
And that April blizzard, did that do a lot of damage around?
Well, like that.
What was done daarvoor wat?
Yeah, they were doing the war and the first of it was come up and the snow covered it. It didn't damage the seat. The ship had it covered it. Some of the animals was been putting up to the hull disease for the day. They found them the next morning. They were in snow and everything snow and terrible. That was the way it was. Whether you know seen all kind of happening.
You came to Yale after that then?
Yeah, we come together. Yeah, we come together.
To here, to the Herre, are you always been
Yeah,
here?
I'm really honest. At the hand, when last year in the war, I was way out of the war.
What did you do through the war then?
That's in Navy. 3 truck takers across through the Panama Canal and out to the other side. We took an awful lot of gear for there. We took last one ship. We were being in and led up to West Indies. Come out and we're on our way. Seemed to be things were going not too bad. Going struggling along at a good foot of speed. We saw this on the horizon. I thought that's something. So he came and he was not that far away. And it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Waving with the water foot forward. When the first was a shell come right across. He very close to us. He was close. The time we launched to one of the lifeboats and got into the lifeboat and they were one of the other fellows. He was going to come off of this cylinder tops, and as I come up to the top, somebody called my name, so I turned back, and then he was lying in the cylinder tops and one of the other fellows. So me and him went down and lifted him off of the cylinder tops, carried him up, put him on deck, and he was poorly. But we got it on it, his back was hitting the wind in the cylinder top. So the next says they were putting down this lifeboat to see. I thought I would go over to the site, and when I went over to the site to have a look, there were anybody that that boat was the same as you'd need a knife or a saw, and you didn't fit the stem, and you knew that the stern shows him too. So I get aboard, and there was Johnny Peterson, he joined up me, and we took some of the stuff out of that lifeboat, what was left. Well, there were plenty more left, but we took so much. I put it down to the one that was being done. What a bloody mess, so wide down this. I was scunnered with them on this. But some of them had to go to the crew had no sense. The next was they looked at the out with any on things out of the boat and that shit. Then sure it got worse. So it was in a stage that we got over to the other side, and we keep it bailing water continuously all night. And then when the daylight came in the morning, we look at the room. The other boat was not to be seen. It was the opposite boat to us. So in the morning, I seen the submarine. I was the one that saw him. At the great daylight in the morning before he get down. So he disappeared. So now the thing was decided to repair the boat. So there were Charlie Peterson, Fitzharris, Charlie Peterson and me, and one of the chief engineer. And we got them to, we had about help, and we could keep it going. So the next week we decided then we were trying to get a food, and I said in the life. It was all right, and they said everything going, is what they could talk about. And it has been 21 days under our own steam, but we'd been sailing. We got under the water, but the weather was up and down. But the headman's night had come to be a poor old night. The sea was rushing over, right over, all together. And later on, there were one of the fellows said, "We've seen something." And I said, "What have you seen?" He said, "I thought I was seeing a light." I said, "Give me a bearing." Oh, he told me. What was the idea? I was the next to say it. So I said, "What the windward on?" Then after that, we saw a second light. And then we saw more lights. We came and we were to windward, so we sailed down. We were putting up the sail and we done it for the wind. And then now that's lighted up. Oh, for what a sight. So we come down to the lower side, the lee side, and then there was just a scrap of people right along the side of that ship. See nothing but a scrap of people. So we come to the lower side. So they sent down a ladder right away, and we asked them to send down a rock. So they sent down a rock, and we got this man that was damaged. We got him in the rock, and then we signaled to the keep lifting it. They lifted them right aboard. And there was Franco and me and this other fellow, and we were alongside. So we decided that they would try and get some of the top pieces. That was up and down. They were right away on the top, and then you'll be right on the bottom. That's a swell. And then when we was the last two to go, but by the head, two of them, the nine of the crew, down right away, and made fast everything. And the lifeboat and started heaving her up, heaved her right up on deck. So we got up on deck. When we got up on deck, they came along with some air. God alone knows what that was something that they done. So we drank. That's what we could. Me and Johnny Peterson, then they were going at full speed down. They were opening her up to 20 knots. So they would be heading for the States down. We thought that down and we would see if we could go and find a place that we could get, what was that called by altitude, terrible state. So we got off what we could. And I had this very muddy bag. And I was taking with this very what's gear. When we got into the lifeboat and I was holding on to my bag, and boy, they said that for bloody fellows, he says the head of the bag, the bottom over the side. As he got it over the side, I let him have it. I fought him. I frightened him down. He says it right away. I don't say if it's you or die. I held on to my bag. I returned what was after that I still had a lot of it. So the following week we got this bit of a wash and took the stuff out of the bag, what it was, and me and Johnny, we sat at one of the heaters. We sat around through the bit of the night, and then when morning came, the seas, and young was all Filipinos and all, so the seas, we had the morning then, they come and put the breakfast on and all for the whole of the cruise. So when that was all away, then they left the other stuff for us to get cleaned up, and so we cleaned it, and then we had for butter breakfast. So after we had was butter breakfast, me and Johnny, and we was kind of struggling on the vest. And one of this Filipinos, he came along and he had a bucket in a mop, and this was to start to wash her down. We thought, well, we would have to try and do something. So it was to we rode away and come to the butter dinners with and had butter dinners. We went all right with them. So we were 4 days aboard before we got New York, weather got to place, and so we didn't to do well. And I thought, well, I'm lucky to get a chance somewhere, so I would take any of those things. So they come up with the ship. So I said, oh no. I said, no, you will cancel that job. I said, I'm not having that job. I said, if the job is going to the UK, I'll take the job, whatever the job is. I said, doesn't worry me. But I said, not going otherwise. So then after that, there was a fellow would come up and he had his gold braid on, and he said, are you looking for a job? I said, yes, I'm looking for a job, but finding a job that suits me. I said, I said, if the job is going to the UK, be all right. I'm not going to do it. So he said, they would see to that. So it wasn't very long till another young fellow come up with, I said to him, what are you waiting for? And he said, well, it was hoping that if he got a job to go to the UK, I'm with the same idea, but I said, I want them to let them sometimes turn up by and by. That was been 4 days, then that turned up at this two was coming up for the job, and so we got the job together, and this ship was going to the Britain, so we took the job and we landed in this country where. So that was it. Yeah, we had a trip.
You certainly had, yeah.
Oh, a trip.
What was the name of the boat that sank? Can you mind?
The one that was damaged.
Yeah.
Oh, no, let me see that.
I think that the one that was sunk was the Peter Bogan.
Yeah.
Peter Bogan was the one that was sunk.
That's the one that Andy was on.
Yeah, that's the one that was the Peter.
And what about the other lifeboat? Was there any sign of the other lifeboat?
No, I never saw it. She was being packed up 4 days, 4 weeks, 6 days, 4 were packed up, but she was packed up with a foreign ship in the southwest. That's when they had animals aboard. Wasn't this ship, so the seas, I am sure that they killed the crew. They had a crew. They had to kill the crew to keep the crew going.
Yes.
That took place. We find that out. But that was marvellous. There were 4 days in the boat, the seas, 6 days.
Yes.
It all worked out wise, you know. So you never know what's going to happen. A few hours and things changes, all right.
And you still held out to your pretty bag?
I do believe there's no that I did take that pretty fellow on.
Is
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah.
Oh, I could, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, what.
When you went to this country then, what did you do after that? Did you just go home or did you join another ship?
No. I joined another ship. I did Iceland. I did there and it was the bed of the winter. They were had the worst burst that they were had for many long while. Oh my, what a snow. Very parents that skis and coming down the fish at the hull like nothing in there. Yeah, I had some fine views of them there. The fine views at Iceland at the summertime. We get right around Iceland we grew, and that was splendid. We saw the midnight sun. He came down to the photograph had him, like that. And just to know, he hung for 3 minutes. I was watching, but I was on the wheel, going ahead of him. Yeah. I was in all the views, every chance to see it. And he came down, and then voices started rising, coming up, boy, no time. Yeah, oh, it was fine to see him. But the sight that you'll never see again. Yeah. But I'll tell you another sight that I did see. I saw that earlier, the trip before. We were going around to North Cape. Oh, he's a lad, boy, he's a lad, young. I think he's 1,800 feet, but he goes up 500 like that, deep up, and then he leans back the pretty bit, so that he comes to be 1,800 on the year. But he's a sight that you're worth seeing. When it's looking just at the sky, yeah, it's all right in the summertime, but in the winter time it's not. But when the spring is, a lot of the stuff has been frozen through the winter. It has to drop down, so it makes a lot of difference.
What did you do through the war?
Well, I was a teenager during the war and I was out on the lawn.
To stay here?
I was living here,
Yeah. Did you grow stuff for the...
Well, we had a lot of animals at that time. We had a lot of cow and sheep and that. There were no tractors. It was all together with the spade, and that way there were only me, mother and Charlotte and his wife. And we just struggled on with it, and all the hay was mowed and that, and we had about usually 4 or 5 big dishes of hay. And then there were a lot of work that needed help with getting the pitch cut and getting the work done during the summer months and that. So it was always busy to sort of keep the craft going.
Yeah. Were there many of the troops of that in Yell?
No, they were mostly on Onston, the mailman, around Sullivan, and that was what the most of the military was. They were just on gate here in Yell. They were what shut up on the top of the hill across there.
Did you go away after that then, Peter?
No, after the war I worked with the council for a while, for a couple of years. And then I had a spell of bad health. I was in a sanatorium for over a year. And after that I got on a training course down in Cambridge here. And I left there till I retired and come back here. I worked in a cabinet mapping industry. So I spent 42 years in Cambridge here. Well, at that time, in the 40s and early 50s, there was very little work in Yale. It was just hopeless to get a job, and that's the way that I decided that if I could get a chance to go and get a job outside.
And you stayed home on the craft then after the war?
I worked for the council.
And what were you doing?
I was one of the workers for the road department, doing repairs to them all the time, and doing all the big changes in that time.
Weren't you on the water scheme, Andy, for a while?
Yeah, I was there too.
Yes.
I was in the water ski. I knew I'd take the family home. I never had any bother with it. The ancient was going for that, and they were very friendly and friendly with me. I would always keep for place. I never had any bother with them. I said anything that they wanted, said they done. I'd seen it done. That was always talent, and they were never had no trouble. I was been with the council for so many years, to say so. I retired when the time came. There were not much money around then.
And work for the odd fashion and that kind of thing?
Well, I think that when I left after the fishing started going back to see then altogether, I never was the same after that. But that changed quite a bit. It changed quite a lot, but when they got the rights and repaired them, that was a great adventure for the farmer. You see, you had to go wherever you were. You had to go to the house for the year. It's a fair war. Such a 7 miles to walk. But what to do? No other option.
No, I can't.
No. When you come to look at Hillsweet, look down the one side of the tunes up from over the beach, what a change. Yeah, it's quite different, but I think that we both were but savings as we used. But I've been at the shop for the river with me stepmother. I mind about the shop for the river. And another thing I do mind. I mind when Johnny Dialect and sister took over the shop for the river. Lowry Robertson was the man that had the shop first. He maybe wasn't the first man that died, but I can't answer, but he was the man that died in mine. And then he had ordered Johnny. Johnny and that, they didn't have the money at that time, but all the same, Jackie Johnson was the man that lived with him, and he gave them the money to help them take it out, and they got money, and they could pay him back. Yeah, it was good.
Did Johnny Tulloch sign to the van around the place?
I think they were.
Yes.
I might also against way of that. Yeah, they were.
Well, that's the same Johnny Tulloch that started the weaving.
That's right, was the same. Yeah, what a change.
Were the money folk employed in the weaving most of the time?
Well, I can't answer that question.
No. And Alexa, your mother, she knitted?
She knitted and some of the stuff she knitted. Maybe get into the house shop. She knitted the river. Yeah, she knitted for days. Yeah, a lot of knitting there.
The any stray roof tours in Asians at your time then?
Yes, I could tell you the youngster's house next to us at the Avinscott was a straight actor. And I was only a young fellow, but I have a detective. He was some dignus. Honest to God, I'll bet you with no exaggeration, there'd been that much dignus on it. Oh,
There were a lot of preparation, making the stray ready, drawing the stray and threshing and all the rest.
The drawn stray was used for the roof boy. Oh man.
Casting the lanks and...
Yeah, everything was made fast.
Was most of the houses, was the roofs then slit or felt in Asia?
Oh, no. I don't think they were any. They weren't at the slit that I could think on, but when, and that's the house of Hullen, Tommy and his mother, Mann, they got this button on. But to see, he only got about a slit button on, but he only made money at that time to go further. So that stood like that, and the old roof was below, then there's other wall was putting up 3 feet high, and there's the roof was putting put up on, but then he never got any further. They didn't to do with me. It stood like that, and then to see they were getting this money for the roof, and then after that, then what the money was come to, they started. They were wanting to get some of this back, and they were on them. And then they come to the Sultan and they had a lot of animals at Hullen at that time, and they took so much of these animals and they sold the animals, this you done. And then I think there were another lot that was on the go. But really the man that really come forward was the late Tommy Thompson, a very Hullen. And he came forward, he paid the money that was due. So that kind of sorted that. But the older, as far as I know, they were nothing ever done to it. That's why we still standing there and not been there for quite a number of years,
Was the well near your house or was...
Yes, the well was to the Gabriel was house pretty back to the side, under the foot of the bricks, up at the back. Now the well was close to the house, but that was at summertime. Then it dried up when the dry weather came. Next road was done pretty well. It was done at the north, done towards where the mill was. There were a mill, they used to go into corn, it was done there. There were a man, they called him Lowry, he kept in. He used to come quite often to the mill with his corn and grind it there and took it in. Things all done there. The changes has been.
Would a lot of folk come to that mill, or was it just...
I don't think there would be that many would have come to them. They were mill at the Dale, near to the north of town, but still by there. I think they come there when they did the grinding. Yeah, no, they were mills all around at one time. They were greatly used, but as time went on, they come to be no use. The things was used in place of them. That's what happens.
What about the truth burn? Did you have any look there?
Well, the truth burn, when I was a boy, there were any gods among the truths down at the beach. When the hares came, they were truths in the lower. Great big truths. Then we always could set the net, and I mind one time I had my net set, and it came a bad night, the rain, took all the sand down, you'd order the net. I had an awful job in the morning to get the up again. But I got her up, there were plenty of truths in it.
Yeah.
There were all kinds of gear then. I mind me getting a big truth down at the beach at the song. I saw that in Champa in the morning. So I went there. And that night when I got out of school, I hit me, stung me, Stone Parry. So I sat in me that while I was out at Champa. And next morning I was doing very early. And he was getting at that. Oh, he would beat him with that lad. He was a monster.
Yeah.
And I took him, and I took off his head and tail. And he was 22 inches without the head and tail.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the size of him. I find the both of them.
Did you ever go to the rabbits?
I tried the rabbits too. I'll tell you what, the one that hit the rabbits. I mean, you read Tommy Anderson, Moorfield. One time we lost one fella. He was going away from there to I lived in the Sunday. I get to watch back. I was walking up over there, and the first I saw, he was going over a rabbit twist there. So I was inside there. We used to watch the tunes at Housewick. We got lots of rabbits there.
Andy, I'm going to stop this one nearly to take. I'm going to say thank you very much. Thank you to you and to Peter and to you, Sam.